This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Matt, I know we're friends, but would you, if you had the option, all things being equal, cost the same, all the everything the same, would you want a realtor in your corner, or would you just want to be able to do the process online, like fill out a form, look at the homes by yourself, like a CarMax type of a situation?
Well, it depends on who the realtor is. If it's some strange person that I don't know, then I'd probably prefer the AI, I guess you could title it, online. But if it's someone I know, obviously I want someone to hold my hand. I want them to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah. So I want some kind of concierge service. I want
you want
someone,
the white glove?
Yeah, absolutely. I want them to take
class,
everything. No, I don't.
First class,
absolutely
drive a Lexus.
Yeah, right.
So, but that's honestly where arguably the industry is heading, because you think about Uber, right? You're not working with a taxi cab. You're not working with travel companies. You're not, like, everything's done on your phone. It's done on an app and it's streamlined. And so what happens if, at some point, this is where I honestly firmly believe the real estate market's heading. One, either people are going to rent more, and they're just going to work remote and hop from place to place to place, and be more of a. Go ahead.
So you think that the American dream that's been around for centuries of owning your own property, whether it's land or a home, you think that's going to go away? That's a very strong cultural societal shift that would have to happen, where people no longer have that desire to own their own home.
Totally get it.
And even a financial shift, because a lot of families' finances are tied up in their home.
A lot of families' finances are tied up. But I mean, we could totally, this conversation just is evolving. So as far as finances, most of the reason why the home is worth so much is, yes, property values have increased, but the value of the dollar has gone down. It's a hedge against inflation.
Sure.
So do you really have, and then can you eat that money? Can you buy anything with that money? If you do try to cash in on that, in many instances, especially if you're younger, you now have a monthly payment on top of your monthly payment.
Well, however you want to define the financial structure of that, it's still an innate, I wouldn't say an innate, but it's in the American dream to own your own home.
It is.
So would you say that this next generation, whether it's what do you call millennials or Gen Zers, they are no longer having that desire to own their own home?
I think as affordability remains a barrier to entry, you're seeing more people look into alternative situations. And as more people do that, it becomes more and more normal not to own a home. Well, so-and-so doesn't own their home. So-and-so doesn't own their home. There's billionaires out there who are saying owning a home is a waste of money. And so I'm saying this, you're right. It will be a societal shift, but that societal shift is starting to take place. I would say 5-10 years ago.
So would you say then people will start to no longer have the desire to own their own car? Then are they just going to...
How many people do you know, honestly, that own their own car outright?
You mean without having a monthly payment?
Without a monthly payment.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with a home. You have a monthly payment with a home, but for the most part, 99% of people... Well, maybe it's not that high, but most people either are making payments on a car. I mean, you're not leasing. Are you leasing?
I don't lease, no.
Well, yeah. What percentage of Americans are leasing or just flat out taking Uber? We don't all live in New York City where we could just hail a taxi cab or take an Uber. We all own a car.
But my point is, it's the payment. It comes down to the payment. And so if it's more expensive to own a home, if the monthly payment is higher to own a home, then why not just rent? At that point, now it's making more financial sense to rent than to own. Now, this is down the road. So what I'm saying is I firmly believe a societal shift is going to take place where, one, more people are focused on renting. They're going to focus more on, instead of their home being their asset, putting that money in other things. We're starting to see that, a massive uptick in art. People are wanting to invest in art. Of all things.
But when you own a home, you control that payment. You've signed a contract that, hey, this is what my payment's going to be. When you're renting, you're putting the power in the hands of your landlord, which goes back to Europe and all of that, where the landlords had all the power.
Potentially. So right now we're experiencing is the insurance companies have all the power. Because if you live in the foothills and you had that fixed payment and now all of a sudden your insurance is $12,000 a year, your fixed payment is not fixed anymore. It's changed.
Well, that's something recent, though.
That's my point, though, is these societal shifts, these little shifts, like saying, hey, a home is not an investment, a home is not an asset, right? These other things are assets. Hey, the payment's fixed. Well, it's not really fixed. Hey, it's cheaper to own than rent. Well, really, it's not cheaper to own than rent right now. And so we're seeing these societal shifts take place. And then layer on top of that the fact that people really just don't like real estate agents. And that at times we're ranked below used car salesmen and lawyers. Like we're not, the real estate profession is not held in high esteem. So most people, if they could remove.
Because, and you've said this before, that I don't know what the percentage is, but it's an easy entry into being a real estate agent. And so you have a large percentage of them that are giving the industry a bad name.
Yep.
Whereas the ones that are doing great and that know what they're doing and are successful are the cream of the crop. And they're the ones you should be looking at, like yourself, not the ones who do it as a side hobby or a hustle and don't do a good job.
Correct. And so that's honestly why real estate agents are like, everybody knows about 10. Every time I go into a listing appointment or meet with somebody, I just assume, hey, they've already talked to somebody else. They know somebody else. And they're always like, yeah, well, we know so-and-so. And it's like, great. Did you know that in 2023, so last year, 47% of real estate agents did not sell a single home. So far in 2024, that number is up to 70%. Roughly about 70% have not sold a single home. And we're sitting here in the last quarter of the year. Okay. 70% have not sold a single house. That means 7 out of 10 realtors who you know, on average, have not sold a home.
Right.
98% of realtors, so you line up 100 of us, 98 of them are selling less than 1.5 homes or 18 homes a year. Like, would you go to a doctor? Would you go to a medical professional? Would you go to a mechanic who works on 18 cars a year? No, they just don't know what they're doing. They're not experienced. And why are more people not using them? That's a red flag. But if that's what the industry, if that's what people are used to experiencing, then of course I understand why they think of us so poorly. But if you can remove the realtor from the situation, that is something that is definitely, like, people are wanting that. They want the CarMax type of experience. Hey, just give me a code. I want to go in and see the house. If I like it, here are my terms, and then write it up for me, and we'll see if they're open to it.
Absolutely.
They're wanting that.
I can see that.
They're wanting that rather than contact the realtor. They sit down, they get to know you, then they take you out and show some homes. It's more of a process, more of an interpersonal thing rather than transactional.
I could see that, especially for the younger generation that's a little bit more tech savvy, that likes that type of transaction. But I don't know that folks that are over the age of 45, I would say,
it's just that societal
wants that
shift.
kind of experience. I want to, it's a societal shift, a cultural shift, especially with a different generation. It just depends, the guest that we had on earlier, Christine, talking about the transition of loved ones into the next stage of their lives, right? You guys mentioned that, you can just go on Google and just Google something and find it,
Well, she was worried about that. Yeah,
you could do that, absolutely, but it's a very complicated situation. And so you want a live person, you want a real person. Because don't you get frustrated? I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll get frustrated with some kind of customer service issue and I want to talk to a real person.
Absolutely.
The automated stuff ain't working for me. I need to talk to a real person.
So when you do get a real person on the phone, right, or when you are interviewing a realtor, there are some questions that you should be asking to make sure that they're not, one of those pretenders, one of those hobbyists, one of those people who got their license, haven't done anything with it, but at a soccer game are saying that, what do you do? I'm a realtor.
Right.
And so, realtor, right? And then, so here's some questions. What are the average days on market in my area? They should know that. They should know how long it's taking for things to sell.
For sure.
What's the average sales price to list price in my area?
And even if you're not selling or buying a home, just do it for fun anyways.
Just grill them.
Help Johnny weed out the imposters in real estate.
You know how they have the Poo map? The Poo map in San Francisco?
Right.
Like you can go on an app and go, there's human feces here. They should have that for realtors.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I interacted with this realtor, don't.
Or some kind of website that has like a most wanted pictures of these imposter realtors.
Yeah. Or like a broken house. Like,
there you go.
Yeah. What's the average days on market for your listings? So I recently got this question because we always tell our clients, hey, it's your house, your rules. We will help you price the home. We're going to market the home. But at the end of the day, whatever pricing strategy you want to implement, it's your house, your rules. I'm not here to dictate the process to you. And as a result, there are some homes on the market right now that have been sitting longer because they simply didn't listen to us. There's a number of reasons why that may happen, but just you should know what that realtor's track record is. So when you are interviewing them or comparing them to somebody else, you have something like to compare apples to apples.
Right. Smart.
And then what's your list to sell percentage? A lot of people will take listings and then not sell them, believe it or not. And so what that looks like is they put a sign in the yard, it ends up expiring, and the person wanted to sell their house, but the agent wasn't able to get the job done. So what is your list to sell percentage? How successful are you when somebody hires you? How are you able to get the job done? And how many people do you talk to each day about real estate? Are you actively prospecting? Are you actively pushing these people's, like if in the sale of a home, are you actively promoting somebody's home to the community, to your database? And do you have a team or do you work individually? A lot of times people are working as individual real estate agents. It's totally fine. It can be okay. But if they're in a meeting, if they're showing somebody property, if they're in a negotiation situation, if they're on vacation, who's helping you?
Right.
And then just make sure that there's an answer for that. And then here's the humdinger. You can tell I've been watching a lot of Paw Patrol. Humdinger is a character, and Jack loves Paw Patrol. So here's the big one. What other things do you do besides real estate? So, I'm a teacher, or I'm a firefighter.
Or I work in radio.
Or I work in radio.
I have my own radio show.
If they're doing other things, I have a state job. Oh,
right.
That
is a good question. I wonder what's the most common job that part-time hobby realtors have. What would you say the most common one is?
Most of the time, I would say restaurant, like bartender, waitress. If I had to guess, yeah.
All right.
So, anyways, those are the questions, and we went way long.
I know, it's okay though. Hey, it's good content. Anyways, if you're looking for more information on how to connect with Johnny, whether you're buying, selling, or you want to become part of his team, just reach out.
MadeForMoreRealty.com.